Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to focus on my director clip notes of one of my other short stories. Usually I do focus on MOLIAE, which is my heart there. That's from my book, Mitzrayim, a memoir of a past life in ancient Egypt. Today we're going to focus on my other short stories that I do here in my podcast, which deals with Mahogany. It deals with the Harlem Renaissance, that time frame here in the United States. And that was around the beginning of the 1920s and so on. Also, it's connected to W.B. Du Bois, which you haven't heard. That's one of my mentors in history. And so this particular part 4, we're going to get into that. We're going to break some things down and kind of talk about the message and the lesson that I wanted to kind of convey. As well, I just love the whole aspect of that. You have the transition from W. Du Bois' book, Souls of Black Folks, and how he explained that journey from freed slaves and what have you, and how they had to migrate and reinvent themselves as well as survive during that time, and then going into the 19th century here and further on to the 20th century. But nonetheless, and the 1920s when the Harlem Renaissance really took off in New York, and this particular story kind of honed on the main character, which is Jules. I'm talking about Jules Sands, and kind of think about in a way that the family unit is together, but you still have to deal with those family issues when one of the family member wants to pursue their dream and the other one wants to focus more on another aspect of what the family should focus on, either finances or helping at this particular time, the advancement of Black folks. Now, my particular stories deal with, different types of topics, mainly it's family topics, but that expand out for lessons that I want to lay and share. And I deal with different classifications of ethnic groups to kind of convey that message. So hopefully you understood all of that and we can get into this. So again, I am the author of Mitzrayim, a memoir of a past life in ancient Egypt. I love Egypt. If you haven't purchased the book, I do recommend if you do check that out. And if you loved it and you had it, please take the time to do a positive review. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, that'll help in that sense. And if you haven't purchased it, I do encourage you to do that. And to download my short stories, I talk about different types of topics there and here, I should say, and share it if you love it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This last month, I had finished my Power of Reading Week, and I went through part 2 of some essays of W. Du Bois, and now I'm focusing on Mahogany, and I'll do another director clip. And then once I get through my director clips of Mahogany, I'm going to definitely release another short story, the next part to that, because I'm very excited because that's basically where she's going. She's heading to Atlanta, and so I'm excited to release that future story of Mahogany. So definitely take a look at that. I noticed that I kind of really put Mahogany out there to kind of, I got this other short story, check it out. And a lot of people really downloaded and listened to it. So they really loved the whole series. I'm kind of giving you a heads up that I'm thinking of. See, this is why you need to turn into my director clip notes. When you see I'm releasing one, I highly recommend take the time to listen, because I'm always giving away goodies and some information that I don't broadcast publicly. But my goal is to one day to write the script to do that. I'm not sure as a film. Maybe I actually do a play. I'm not sure, here in Atlanta. And to take this to another level in that sense. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into this today, which we are going to do my director clip notes of Mahogany Part 4. And you can definitely check that out. Of course, it's available here on Podbean. If you want to download that and share it, I encourage you to do that and tell somebody about it. All right, so Mahogany Part 4 was released in 2019, January the 14th, 2019. So Mahogany 4 came off of where I was introducing the story and kind of get familiar with the character and the love of music. They have a Harlem, basically, restaurant and a blues type jazz club, and she grew up with her mother and father. She has a younger sister, and I'm talking about Jules. She's the main character, and her brother is 1 year younger than her, but she's pretty much like 18 or 19, and his name is Will. Her younger sister is, we call her Nambi, and then Bertha is her mother, and then Bill is her father. So in this time that I'm doing this timeline, it's pretty much after. We're going to just connect W. Du Bois to this because he was a powerhouse to getting the Harlem Renaissance up and running, and was very influential in that. And so you got all this talent giving birth to it. So this particular timeline, as I like to say, is in the early 20s, what have you, is right around where the Harlem Renaissance is about to take off. And if we go prior to that, in his book, W.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Black Folk, he's talking about all those essays. When you really think about his, conflict with Booker T. Washington, and what's the right process for the freed black souls coming into America as freed, and what they're going to do about it. The economic and the living conditions was very highly on his mind, the unfair of that. So then you get to the point where some family units stayed together, some did not. He talked about that in his essay of the Crest of the Golden Fleece. Highly recommend you read that and to download podcasts of that last month for my Power of the Week reading. And nonetheless, this is part of where you had some that the family did stay together, right, for the means, and was able to move up north and created their family going forward and produce, income coming in, and then tapped into the culture. So Jules wanted to be a part of that. She could sing, she wanted to sing, she wanted to be a part of that. She did not want to leave Harlem. So here in this episode in part 4, we basically get to this dinner that they're having as a family. Bill, father, decides I want to go ahead and make this announcement. Well, what's going on with Bill is that he's a part of the newspaper that W.D.B. Du Bois had started with his colleagues and what have you. But there's still some issue with some parts in the South that didn't accept freed black folks. And he's working, not just having his restaurant, his family there in a blues type nightclub, but to create a sense of platforms for those that are still trying to migrate up to the north and have a better life. Like I said, economic conditions was very harsh, and W.D. Du Bois wrote about that prior to the 20s. His book was released in 1903, so he already saw what was incoming, and it sure was. And Bill's make an announcement that he's sending his children out to here, to there, kind of spread out. Plus, he didn't want them there because there was going to be some commotions as such, trying to organize and all of that. That was in some groups that plotted to destroy that. And so Jules got upset because she had her own vision, not to just go to college. She wanted to be a singer, she wanted to travel, she wanted to do that. But Bill was kind of in the front of, but we got to take care of these roots. It's still not ready yet, and we have to help, da-da-da. And Jill's mind, I can still help. I can make them feel good with the singing that I can do. And she was very startled and upset about it. Will got to be sent to an art school, so he's a part of that art culture that's coming up, painters and drawers and so forth. Because maybe she gets to as well have her plans change where she's going to go. And Bertha got upset with that with Bill. Don't you ever do that without talking to me, no matter what occurred initially. So they kind of have that experience moment. Of course, they love one another, but she was adamant because then she has to kind of mend Jules' heart and her dream, what she wanted. And that's what she was talking to her mother. Like, I really want to do this. I want to tell them I have this dream, and that's what I want to do, would be a singer. So this really, part 4, deals with when you want to leave one path, but life or those that are still a big influence or financing or what have you, redirect your life. And you have to come to terms with that and deal with that. So it will be in the next episode where she does, and you feel that the disappointment, but she goes forward. Sometimes on our journey, we don't understand why we're being influenced a certain way to go on a certain path. We do choose to do that for a while. And then later we realize we really should have did this. Sometimes it's a lesson. Sometimes it's just a journey, and you take what you can take from it. So this is the moment where Jules has to accept it based on, the circumstances going on. And Bill needs to do it on the back end because their movement of helping black folks to make that migration and being successful was also a huge attention type thing to those that want to go back in the old ways of slavery and destroy any type of success. And he was helping those and helping the mission of W.D. Du Bois. He had different organizations, and he had a paper and so forth. But anyway, it was to keep his children safe and to keep the mission alive. So this is really what this episode is about. I do encourage you to listen to Mahogany 4 as well as the other 3. And I have a part 5, 6, and 7. And I will be on a part 8. But nonetheless, do check it out. This particular part really kind of hones on the communication of family. And W.D. Du Bois really honed on that of the crest of the Golden Fleece. that I highly recommend that you read, and definitely check out my podcast. If you love it, share it. Still have the film that I did on Facebook page, just to kind of talk about the film I did, the independent film of W. Du Bois. I have the link in here if you want to check that out and share it. You can purchase that as well. It's called Dawn of a New Day. And this particular Mahogany Part 4, just to kind of touch on it before I wrap it up, deals with the pursuit of your dream. Sometimes it is delayed, sometimes it's distracted, and you just have to believe that in all of those experiences, you take what you can and then you move forward. And even though I'm talking about this African American family that has all of this opportunity that they're trying to use to perfect and to grow on, that it's a communication, it's respect, it's a growth, and it's a passage, it's a journey. And once you understand that, you can understand how life sometimes is not ready yet to where you need to be, and you just have to get ready. I hope you got all that. That was raw, that was live. And this particular story of Part 4, I wanted to kind of express the interaction with family, the giving and the sharing and the taking and the sharing and the waiting and the understanding into a way. It's in the scene where she goes to her mother and say, well, that's not what I want to do. And the mother's like, just go ahead. Her mother is playing that, Bertha is playing that role of, we stick with the plan and we move forward. That's how we stay together. And W. Du Bois' book of the Crest of the Golden Fleece talks about how the family the Union group broke apart. It has to be a solidified effect. But Bill, in my story here, in his mind, he's thinking we have to stick together. Even though I'm sending my children here and there, is to protect you so we can stay together. Then later, you can focus on your dreams. But Jules just, didn't want to do that. She had a right to feel that way, and she wanted to experience by still serving the community by her singing and traveling and being aspiration, giving them hope. Because we got to say, when we hear music, it can make us feel good, it can make us feel bad. And her dream was to make people feel good through her singing. And all of that correlates to having a plan, and sometimes everybody not agreed upon about it, and sometimes it is. It's just finding a way, that middle ground, that compromise. And I had said that term so much in my film that I wrote, directed, and produced and got it out there, Dawn of a New Day. So this right here wraps up my directed clip notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you love this and you like this podcast, go ahead and share it with somebody. If you purchase my book, go ahead and go to Amazon and do a positive review. I said it with my southern accent, and I mean that. And I appreciate you, okay? And guess what? I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you.